the ambulances he speaks about. But we will fact check some of the highlights that he makes. On education, free SHS, on the energy sector, he says he inherited a doomsday economy. Is that true? Among other things. So let's begin the analysis, perhaps with Angela. What were your highlights?
I'm trying to, okay. Yes, so, okay, let me say this. SONA, State of the Nation, I believe must be State of the Nation. And so far, what we've been having is, I don't know whether we've developed it by tradition, is to have presidents actually touting the things that they have done. You know, highlighting the developments that they've been able to achieve, the infrastructure, security, all of those things. However, I would have wished that even if they highlighted some of the things they have done, they would actually let us understand where that leaves the state. Okay, so if you say, I've been able to do Agenda 111, I didn't complete it. We must situate it against the broader frame of the health sector so that you're able to tell us where that leaves the health sector. If you're looking at education, you're not touting only what you have done, but you're looking also at what the broader outlook is on education as you give the State of the Nation address. So I think I was a bit disappointed because I didn't quite hear the State of the Nation. I heard more of what I've been able to do under my administration. But I don't think it's only Akufo-Addo who has done that. I think it's something that has been happening, and I think we need to address that. If it's a State of the Nation, let it be a State of the Nation. Use other opportunities that are given to you as a president to address what you've been able to do. And there are many numerous opportunities for that.
Presidents or political leaders obviously don't develop the country with money from their own pockets. It's our own money.
Absolutely.
But when he does that, it's part of the State of the Nation. If he has improved the health sector by an Agenda 111 hospitals, which he's succeeded in commissioning 3, completed so far, and he's looking forward to Mahama to continue and complete the rest. And he's brought ambulances, he's done all of these things. It's part of the State of the Nation, is it not?
Yes, it's part of the State of the Nation, but it doesn't give you the full picture of the state of the nation or the sectors that you're addressing. And for me, that has always been sort of a problem for me, because I want to hear that this has been done, but this is within the wider framework of what is going on in this sector. So this is actually where the state is concerning education, health, social protection, whatever there are to speak about. And the second thing that I want to say when it comes to highlights, I mean, this is a president that's saying, Mayebi, okay, Mambeyeni, but appreciate me for what I've done. And I think it's good. It's troubling for some of us when we hear the way in which we take such partisan sides when it comes to some of these addresses, or even when it comes to evaluating what has happened in the country. Now, I in my circle of family, I have very strong NDC people and very strong NPP. And sometimes when I stand in the middle, I'm wondering, is it me or is it them? Why is it that they see everything in such stark black and white colors when it comes to the other side? And why is it that I don't see it like that? But that's the state in which we are in now when it comes to partisanship. Yes, baby, he couldn't finish everything. Yes, the people of Ghana have voted him out massively, but that still does not mean that he did not do something here in his government. And I think we have to acknowledge it and also, assess them. and use that as a backdrop for the incoming government. It's very, very important. So some of my highlights.
It is human nature, is it not, that you do 1,000 good, but you do one small wrong, and that might blight the whole thing you have done.
Absolutely. But then we have history to judge you. Posterity is there. After a while, we'll start writing these things up and we would know that maybe we haven't been fair. Okay, and we need to acknowledge that these things happen, and it won't just happen to Akufo-Addo, it will happen to the next government, the next government. But we can learn from these things. Look at Galamsey. I was expecting a concrete report on even what he tried to do with Galamsey. Try and inform the public on what you did with the military, what you did in trying to clean up waters. I was so disappointed about his report on Galamsey, but that is one of the most core issues we are having to deal with because it's an existential threat. It threatens us with ecocide. And so I was surprised at its treatment and the politicization of it, by the president. I was hoping he would even leave something for the next government to build on, assuming those were even good. There isn't enough time, but a few more highlights for me. The school feeding, the social protection.
The Galamsey matter, there are those who suggest he would have been better off not speaking about it at all, rather than what he said. Among other things, he says, I welcome the many loud converts to the fight against Galamsey that suddenly appeared in the run-up to the 2024 elections. And I pray that more and more of us get to embrace the need for the protection of our lands and water bodies. That's being cynical. That's looking at it with mischief, as if the fights, those who came up, spoke about it, were only after, his government, sort of the NPP not being successful. And then he spoke about how his party has lost seats, among others.
I mean, that's a lame duck excuse. I think it's sad because, from the statesman Akufo-Addo that, some of us knew, to a president who is reducing this particular very serious matter to a political game, I think it's very sad. Yes, wabeyebi, but on some of those core issues, he should have explained himself a little better, admitted the failures, and given some kind of a direction for the next government, if possible, okay? But the way in which it was treated was really a bit shabby. And if you see that people were ready to, put their lives, in a sense, online for this Galamsey fight, and even get being imprisoned for it and so on, this is nothing to take lightly. Okay, so I know a lot of people would want to comment on Galamsey, so I want to move on quickly.
All right.
To the area of social protection and the widening of the net, NHIA, LEAP, capitation grants, school feeding. These are very good programs that have helped, to support the most vulnerable in our society and so on. Nobody can take away the fact that free SHS is a very core policy to this country. I mean, look at the Asian tigers. They have moved their countries through education, deliberate, intentional educational policies that have lifted them out of poverty.
But Angela, is it accurate to suggest that all these students will not have had the opportunity of secondary education but for free SHS?
Not all, but many. So it's not surprising that even when Setepe, tried to talk about limiting it to day students, it was NDC youth who went after him. Many people have benefited from this, and for years to come, families will talk about SHS, but it's going to provide a long-term dividend. So this is where probably Akufo-Addo is going to get some respite from. When years to come, we can point to free SHS as having actually brought about some kind of transformation to our society. We are worried about the implementation, some of the issues, the knotty issues around quality, around sustainability, around how we can get other people involved who actually want to pay part of the costs. These are things we're all worried about, which the next government should take up. But I think that nobody can take this away from the Kufuor government, that indeed lots of families who would not otherwise not have been able to participate in this level of education, and the fact that it will have a certain impact on Ghana in the future to come, we can't take that away from him. But come to the other social protection policies like NHIA and so on. Sometimes I tend to think, and this is not just the NPP government, it cuts across again. Since these policies started, those are the only social protection matters in this country. And they keep commenting on how they have increased, expanded, and so on. They forget sectors around mental health, around domestic violence that is ravaging our country, and the kind of systems and structures that do not work. They forget sectors around children, and the fact that our infrastructure on children is actually almost next to nothing. Apart from educating our children, when it comes to protection of children and so on, it's next to nothing. Why? Look at this case that happened when the child marriage issue came up. And that is just one of the many of such issues that happen in this country to children who are not just the future, who are now. And it appears that we all swept it under the carpet, and that's the end of the matter. The Attorney General hasn't come back with his advice on going forward on child betrothal, nothing like that, and it's just going.
And that's part of the issue, very disturbing issue that Professor Dwamena-Aboagye complained about, because the media touches and then we leave. We don't sustain. Follow up to ensure that we get to the end of the matter.
And when some of us try to follow up, we are not significant enough in terms of, our public clout.
Right.
So if they like, they will respond. If they don't like, they won't respond.
All right.
That's
so
another thing.
Can I go around and come